The BetMGM game of the week that we already gave you our prediction for is Tennessee-Georgia. But I think this is a funny spot here when you talk about the quarterbacks, because the narrative around this game I don't think matches how you should feel about the quarterbacks if you are a one Joey Aguilar or if you are a one Gunnar Stockton. We'll break it down right now, but we always tell you all this, man, top of the show. Again, make sure you are subscribed right here on the YouTube channel. Appreciate y'all being dialed in. The narrative around this game for Tennessee is very like lose yourself kind of vibes, right? This is your one shot, one opportunity. Georgia is gettable. Georgia's young. Georgia hasn't looked all that great. Getting stopped at the end of the first half on the goal line against Austin Peay. That's not Georgia. Not the Georgia I have come to know throughout the course of the last few years. It's not a Kirby Smart Georgia football team. Is Georgia more gettable right now? You got them at home. They got a first-year starting quarterback. All these things, right? All these things are being said about Georgia right now. And so you kind of go down that rabbit hole. You say, okay, maybe a little more pressure on Tennessee to win this game. Maybe there's a little bit more opportunity for some anxiety for Tennessee as a football team. And I don't think that narrative is all the way untrue when you look at the Tennessee side, but for the Joey Aguilar side specifically, like, you should be dialed in on winning, and I have to believe he wants to win this game as bad as anybody else in Knoxville. But at the same time, reality is he should be feeling zero anxiety. He should be back on the beaches of California, man, just absolutely vibing going into this one. Because the reality is for him, he's supposed to be at UCLA right now. You know what I mean? Like, if you told Joey Aguilar he'd be starting against Georgia in Neyland Stadium a couple of months ago, it'd be like, what happened? What happened at UCLA as to why I'm no longer going to be playing quarterback there? And then you proceed to tell him all about Nico Iamaleava and how that whole thing went down. But nobody said when Joey Aguilar transferred to Tennessee, this guy is the reason we're beating Georgia. What they were saying is, hallelujah, we're going to have a quarterback this year. Praise the Lord, we're not starting somebody for the first time ever in college football in a true freshman in George McIntyre or a Jake Merklinger. And those guys I think will still have great careers, but like, you didn't want to play those guys this year because you still had a roster now that could go compete for a college football playoff spot and have a schedule, quite frankly, that caters to a college football playoff berth. So the reality is, for Joey Aguilar, it's like, man, cut it loose. Yeah, it's Georgia. Yeah, it's going to be the best competition you ever played against. But this spot in itself, nobody is putting the pressure on Joey Aguilar to go out there and just beat Georgia by himself. Like, when you kind of distill this game down to what's going to be asked of Joey A, in my opinion, make the throws. Be on time. Go to the right place with the football. And when I say make the throws, they should be throws that are made with a pretty good amount of real estate around those receivers. Like, it's on Josh Heupel to scheme these dudes open. It's on that running back room, that offensive line, to take advantage of whatever look they get from Georgia. You're hoping and praying it's a light box. It's on those receivers to go win their matchups. But like, for Joey Aguilar, you're not asking him to fit it into like this NFL style of window. You're not asking him to make all these different checks at the line. It's like, no, run our system, go fast, don't make a stupid mistake, and cut it the heck loose, dude. Like, that's the vibe, I think, if you're Joey Aguilar. Isn't that kind of the vibe you want your quarterback to have when you go up against one of the best teams in college football in Georgia? Certainly one of the best rosters in college football in Georgia. The best coach in college football in Kirby Smart. Like, don't you want him kind of feeling this house money vibe? I have a friend who watches the show, and we were talking. He's a Tennessee fan. He was talking during the preseason and saw our prediction for Tennessee to go win 9 football games. He was like, man, that's a little bit rich, don't you think? Like, 9 wins? We'd be happy with 8. Like, 8 feels fair. Nobody's saying Joey Aguilar's got to go take him back to the college football playoff. Now, perfect world, that would happen, and you build a statue for Joey Aguilar. And Caden Smith and I talked about maybe the Joey Aguilar wing being in the trophy room here for Tennessee if that happens, and that'd be it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but like legit. They would name a street after Joey Aguilar if he takes him to the playoff with all the offseason nonsense around Nico Iamaleava. He should feel pretty free and clear in this game. In a clear mind, a low-anxiety approach here for Joey Aguilar against that team at home. Now, going to Athens at home crowd at your back, I think that there is a ton of opportunity here for Joey Aguilar and very little consequence for him in this spot. No one's going to think less of Joey Aguilar if he throws 2 picks and you lose to Georgia, right? Like, just, it's not going to be a world you live in. Now, on the flip side of this, for Gunnar Stockton, the narrative around Georgia, hey, you're walking into this thing, you're favored on the road. Georgia's getting back to gritty, grimy Georgia, supposed to be an edge to them. I know there's all the conversation around they're young and they're gettable, but like, the Georgia fan base is saying, no. We actually like this version of Georgia going into the year better than what last year's Georgia was with Carson Beck. This isn't me knocking Carson Beck. I'm just saying the people in Athens feel like maybe he wasn't necessarily the fit culturally for how they do things, not very eat off the flourish when you're wearing a chain and driving a Lambo. I'm just saying. With that being said, for Gunnar Stockton, personally now, like this entire lead up for him to this season being the guy, it's been a journey. Been a journey for Gunnar Stockton. Similar to Ty Simpson at Alabama, going into that Florida State game, it's like, dude, you bet on yourself. You could have hit the portal multiple times. You know how many teams would trade a left arm in their entire special teams unit to have a guy like Gunnar Stockton playing quarterback for them? I promise you, several G5 schools would have. Have to think a couple of different schools at the Power 4 level would have, maybe playing in the Big 12 or the ACC. Gunnar Stockton could have gone somewhere else. I promise you. Promise you. However, now, the lead up to this spot with him betting on himself, it's like, okay, now it's your shot. Now it's your chance. And you're going on the road, playing in one of what I would deem to be one of the toughest environments in college football to play in Neyland Stadium. Like, okay, go make yourself right. This is your chance. Go make yourself right. And also for Georgia, is the bar maybe sets unreasonably high relative to, what's achievable every single year, which is winning a national championship in Athens? I guess unreasonable is a way to phrase it. I just think it's like the standard that you have earned if you're Kirby Smart, the standard you've earned by how you recruit. And so for better or for worse, if you don't do that this year, it starts with beating Tennessee. If you don't do that this season, you look back at the quarterback. You say, well, did we have the right guy pulling the trigger? Did we have the guy that can make the difference for us when we get on the field with the Tennessee, with the Bama, with so on and so forth across the SEC, and who you'll have to beat to win the national championship? And so for Gunnar Stockton, I don't want to say it's a thing where he should be feeling more anxiety, but I do think when you talk about how he's going to feel when he takes the field in Neyland, there is more pressure on him. And I don't think you're asking more of Gunnar Stockton when it comes to him throwing the ball downfield or, just different things physically. I think you want him to run the football in this game, quite frankly. That's for another conversation for another time. But I just think there's more pressure here on Gunnar Stockton, and I'm really curious to see how that impacts both these guys. Because I talk about the spot, and it sounds like it's a spot that's favoring Joey Aguilar. I suppose you could convince yourself of that because there should be a lower level of anxiety. But honestly, when it comes down to who's going to win this football game, I think there should be something to watch, and when it comes to who embraces the moment a little bit more, who embraces their spot. Like if Joey Aguilar, I keep saying he should be playing free, he should be playing low anxiety, he should be playing just with a cut-it-loose mentality. Okay, awesome. But if he doesn't embrace that mindset, doesn't embrace that spot for himself, and goes out there and plays a little bit tight for the duration of 4 quarters, then he's going to have a tough day at the office. You don't play tight against Georgia and have success. Doesn't happen. Same thing for Gunnar Stockton. If he doesn't embrace the pressure, embrace the moment, no. I signed up for this. I signed up to be the guy at Georgia. I knew I was going to have to wait my turn. I knew when I was backing up Carson Beck, whenever it was my time to play ball, it was going to be we want to win a national championship kind of year. I know what the price of admission here is at Georgia. I know what it is. So I'm embracing that. I knew there's pressure. I'm all here for it. If he embraces it to that degree and plays to his potential, like Georgia can roll in this football game. So I'm really, really curious to see the overall competitive disposition for both these guys going into this game, especially early on. But the spot in itself, for the teams, I get the conversation, but for the quarterbacks, I think it's actually flipped. Tennessee, yeah, it's pressure for sure. For Joey Aguilar, zero pressure. Dude, go cut it loose. For Georgia, yeah, you're favored. Yeah, you're still the big dog in the conference who won the SEC a season ago. No pun intended on the big dog stuff. But for Gunnar Stockton, yeah, there's some pressure on you to then go keep this team at the cruising altitude and elevate them to national title status with your first year now as the guy in Athens. So that'll be a lot of fun, man. Fired up for that. I know y'all are as well.